On a broad level, the reason why I tend to fight back against the overarching narratives is because I feel like they leave listeners feeling very powerless. So when I talk to my audience, I want people to vote. I want people to be politically active. I want people to, take an interest in their local city council stuff, their local races, because I think that people getting involved politically, especially voting, is a really important way to change the landscape of our country on a local level or on a national level.
I agree.
I also think that people talking to their friends and family and spreading ideas and messages, I think these things are important as well. But I think that the reason why I push back sometimes against the broader, like the more broader narrativizing of things happening culturally is because I feel like it leaves listeners feeling very disempowered.
In this video, Destiny schools Candace Owens over her delusional one-on-one takes. So Destiny kicks things off by going deep into why he challenges the kind of broad, sweeping narratives that Candace Owens constantly just throws around. And honestly, he nails it. His whole point is that these grand doomsday narratives don't actually empower people. They just make everyone feel helpless. Destiny isn't trying to sell fear. He's trying to get people to act, to vote, to engage locally, to organize and actually influence their communities. And that contrast between empowerment versus paranoia just sets the tone for everything that follows. So make sure to watch till the end to see how Destiny schools Candace Owens over her delusional one-on-one takes.
I remember when I was in Austin and I asked Alex Jones on stage after he'd done another one of his big rants about the deep state and blah, blah, blah. I think I asked him, I was like, well, what do you want your listeners to do? And it was the first time I ever heard him be quiet for more than 5 seconds because he had no answer. So I'm curious for you, when you talk about this overarching stuff and you want to bring people's attention to it, what is like a Candace Owens listener supposed to take from that? And what are they supposed to do in the real world, I guess, to like fight against some of the
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, I always tell people what they can do. Like one of the biggest pushes is telling parents that they should be involved in their kids' education, and you saw that. That was conservatives who brought forth that movement of parents actually showing up and demanding changes in the textbooks, and finally recognizing how far things had gone because we allowed the Department of Education to just spike the ball for decades. Actually paying attention to what they do. I always tell people to get involved in local elections because they matter more, and I think that a lot of the corruption that's taking place in Washington D.C. is what we're speaking about, because it seems like no matter who we elect, when we send them to Washington D.C., it's almost like their allegiance is to the lobbies. And by the way, I believe that lobbying should be illegal. I believe that we need term limits. These are the things that would, I think, affect change overnight. And so I hope that in speaking to those things, when people say, what would be the first things that you would do if you were in office? I always say elect people that are saying those exact same things. Don't elect people that are then going to go to DC and make it their own business, and want to grow the government because it's making them money and they're accepting money from lobbyists. That's why I always point to my favorite congressman, Thomas Massey, because I think he does a really good job of actually representing Americans and American interests. So, yeah, I'm not a person, I haven't taken the black pill as how it's termed, taking the black pill, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do. But we have to understand what it is that we're fighting, and we can't be scared to recognize a conspiracy. A lot of times we're just talking, there's questions that we have, and we just say, why is this person doing this? Like I said, the Diddy lawsuit didn't make me feel hopeless. It actually made me go, oh, okay, if this is what's actually happening in Hollywood, then it makes sense.
What do you think for when you look at black community stuff specifically? What would you think are the big like 2 or 3 things that the black community in the United States needs to do to kind of save itself from the whole of fatherless children and welfare consumption and abortion and everything else that they're kind of stuck in right now?
Alright, so Destiny lays out this great moment where he once asked Alex Jones, after one of his unhinged rants, what his listeners really were supposed to actually do. And Jones, for once, had no answer. That's exactly what Destiny throws at Candace here. Like, if you're actually gonna be constantly pushing these massive culture war narratives, what are your followers supposed to do with that information besides panic? He's not trying to just dunk, he's challenging her to name a real world action plan. Candace just answers with the usual conservative playbook, though. Parental rights, school boards, term limits, anti lobbying takes, and yeah, some of that sounds fine on paper, but then she pivots right back into conspiracy land. Suddenly, it's all about how the Department of Education is secretly spiking the ball on America's brainpower, how everyone in Washington is bought and sold, and how people need to recognize conspiracies instead of ignoring them. So, like, her answer basically loops right back into the kind of paranoid worldview Destiny was criticizing in the first place. And Candace almost gives a grounded answer: parents being involved, voting in local elections, all that. But then she just pulls the rug out and just goes full conspirational again. So yeah, Destiny was right to press her on it. Because this is where the mask just always slips off.
Well, the first thing I think is to educate yourself about where it's all coming from. I think Black Americans need to be educated on Black history, not in the Democrat textbook way, but in the real way of understanding where all these initiatives came from. Because a lot of times Black Americans are asking the government to solve what the government created, which welfare programs obviously destroyed the Black family, and it was the intention of Lyndon Baines Johnson to do that because he was an avowed racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give Black Americans any measure of freedom until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act to restore some calm nationally. So I think, first of all, everything begins with education, and I think that people that are nefarious understand that, which is why the 70% illiteracy rate that we're seeing across inner city communities is in my opinion by design. 40% of students now can't pass the literacy exam, excluding Black America.
When we say by design, who would want that?
People that want to control you. There's a reason why when we had slave codes, slaves weren't allowed to learn how to read. When you're not educated, anything I tell you becomes your reality.
I can understand that, but slaves like worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah,
I feel like,
so do Americans. Every day we go to work and our money gets sent overseas.
but they have to like be literate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate Black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well now.
You are, because you keep voting in the people that are taking more power from you, right?
Do you think those people are voting much? The Black gangbangers and stuff?
I think, yes, Black people do vote, and it's not
Wait,
just...
hold on. To be very clear, I didn't say Black people, because I don't think that all Black people are like this. I'm saying that specifically the ones that are illiterate, involved in gang violence, and are unemployed. Do you think that they're like out there voting in a meaningful way that's changing the political landscape of the United States? Are they having like a meaningful impact on the electoral system?
Yeah, so even if people are fully illiterate, they will vote if they have an emotional reason to vote, which is what the Democrats very much understand. I want to correct my language there and say, because I think it's uniparty at this point, that they will continue to vote emotionally. So when you see something like, Black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd, what you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances so that they are emotionally reactive. Because look, I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population into an emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So
I guess it's interesting to me because it feels like the most mind controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids, and those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send Black people into like the colleges and turn them woke instead of...
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting.
What do you mean when you say Americans are getting dumber? What do you mean by that?
What I mean, talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down. And like SAT scores, everything is going down. And which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT. This sort of a thing that they're
sure, which I think they've gotten rid of and brought back in some places. Yeah. But I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah, we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid, and that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that, how every decade within America people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber.
So Candace fully dives off the deep end here. Like we go from Black Americans need real education to straight up claiming there's a 70% illiteracy rate in inner cities and that it's all by design. And when Destiny challenges her on who even would want that, she just hits back with the same tired control theory. People who would want to control you. But she never names names, never presents evidence, just vibes and conspiracies. It's honestly wild how confidently she just throws out these claims while offering zero backup. And Destiny Man, he doesn't let her get off easy. He points out that absurd contradiction. Like if these specific individuals, illiterate, violent, and unemployed, are so undereducated, how exactly are they being used as voting pawns in the system? It just doesn't add up. She tries to wiggle around it by saying people vote emotionally. But again, if you're claiming folks can't even pass a literacy test, it's a stretch to suggest they're showing up in large numbers at the polls with any real electoral impact. And the second, Destiny brings up how young white college kids are often the most ideologically rigid, despite being highly literate. Candace flips again. Now college itself is a problem, and the degrees are proof of stupidity. Come on, that's not just inconsistent, that's just pure cope. She just bounces from blaming illiteracy to blaming education, whichever fits the rant better. Destiny is holding the line, calling out the contradictions, and honestly just exposing how little of her worldview is grounded in real data.
And one of the things that my colleague Matt Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old or 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry, like unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
I mean, we can say that, but the reality is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has like one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that like if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got two completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people that graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that if I wanted to see like...
You got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Like, I'm happy
to...
That's just not true. What do you mean it's not true?
Just what I said. As an
an
owner of a college degree, median wage comparing to that person is
just because you own a... You can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that person is educated
First of all,
or highly literate.
Like more than half of degrees awarded are awarded for STEM-related things. Number one. Number two, $100,000 is a way over the average we're paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid. So I'm just...
What did you go to school for?
The average annual, as far as I'm concerned, you can look this up, but if you are going to school, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount of...
Just look it up. You got Google, right? What state are we in? What state are we in? Miami? Let's go to look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida out of tuition rates. Because what do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at... So one, this is for...
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
Yep. So one, this is the out-of-state tuition.
Yes, that's what I just said.
Number two, hold on. This is the sticker price. Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants. You've got different types of student aids. You've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very, 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 very few people actually pay any of this price. I'm right,
but you're trying to make me wrong.
And by the end of all this, Candace just completely unravels. She claims even college grants can't read, ignores actual productivity data, and when Destiny challenges her, she just says Google it, like that's not a serious response. Destiny calmly breaks down why most people don't pay full sticker price for college anyway, while Candace just clings to her own 100K anecdote like it proves anything. She dodges facts, leans on vibes, and twists basic points to fit her narrative. It's a classic case of trying to make bias sound like truth, and Destiny just wasn't having it. And speaking of bias,
are you getting tired of getting news from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite? How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.